Welcome back to the Gambling Chef Kitchen and happy holidays, everybody. This year, I thought I would share my recipe with you for ginger cookies. I have had countless people ask me for this recipe over the years, and it is my very favorite cookie recipe, so I cannot wait to share it with you. These cookies are soft and moist in the middle, and they're crunchy on the outside thanks to a special sugar that we roll them in. So let's get started making our ginger cookies. I am so excited to bake these cookies because they are my absolute favorite. I want to tell you that you can make these vegan, and I've done that recently. I actually did it for WBG from Vegas Matt because he's a vegan and I wanted to bring him something special when we were all in Reno. All you have to do is substitute vegan butter for the regular butter and you leave out the egg and they work beautifully. So just know that's an option. I will put that also on the recipe itself on my website. But to get started, we have 3/4 of a cup of butter, which is a stick and a half. Today I'm using salted butter. And if you use salted butter, you're going to use 1/4 teaspoon of salt. If you use unsalted butter, then you're going to use about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. To the butter, we're going to add 1 cup of white sugar. Just dump that right in. We're also going to be adding 3 different spices. So I have a teaspoon each of ground ginger, ground cinnamon, and ground cloves, and those are going to get dumped in. I like to cream my butter and sugar together with my spices pretty much generally whenever I make a cookie that has a spice in it. I don't know, I feel like it gets incorporated better, and for me, it's how I've always done it. Then you're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. This is pure vanilla extract, good quality. I didn't actually measure that, but I know my measurements pretty well. And then we're gonna add, really important, 1/4 cup of dark molasses. And this is that stuff that honestly by itself, I think tastes pretty horrible. It's not my favorite thing when you have it by itself, but when it's in a cookie or something that's baked, it is absolutely delicious. So one of the things I do when I'm adding salt to recipes, because I like to use kosher salt, is I will actually, I'm gonna try to get it in the shot here. This is my mortar and pestle, and I actually put the salt in the bottom of that, and I use my mortar and pestle to grind it. And when you do that, it actually gives it a finer texture, which is really important for baking. You don't want big chunks of salt. All right, I gave my salt a nice grind, and it is now going in. All right, time to drop the mixer down. This is the paddle attachment. Honestly, I don't love the paddle attachment for creaming stuff. I actually prefer the whisk attachment, but then you have to switch it out and, you know, it does an okay job, it's fine. So I am going to mix this on pretty high speed because again, we don't have any flour in here at this point and we are trying to cream the butter and all those ingredients together. So what I'm gonna do is cream this for a few minutes. I'm gonna scrape it down several times to make sure that even though there's a flex edge beater and it's supposed to scrape everything, it doesn't always get the very, very bottom. So that's why we'll scrape the bowl several times and I will show you the texture you're looking for. And the next thing we're gonna do after that is add the egg. All right, you can see that that has changed color. If there are a few streaks of molasses still in there, that is okay. It's all gonna get mixed in. And I am just going to add the 1 egg. At this point, if you're making the vegan version, you will just add 2 tablespoons of your favorite vegetable-based milk product. I've used oat milk, works great. And I'm going to lower the beater back in. And I'm going to mix this until it is totally combined. You know, cookie batter, unlike cake batter, the creaming for cake batter, the sugar particles should be really, really fine, like almost as indetectable as possible. For cookies, it's a totally different texture that we're going for. So it does not have to be a perfectly smooth, creamy mixture at this point. We just want everything really well combined. And that's just gonna take a minute or 2, and then I'm gonna scrape the sides of the bowl down again. And then we're gonna add our last 2 ingredients. All right, that looks perfect to me. The next thing I'm gonna do is add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, I'm a bit of a lazy baker, so if you wanna be really precise, you can sift your baking powder and your flour together and then add it. I'm just gonna dump my baking powder in, which is kind of the way I normally do it. So I'm kind of showing you guys that you don't need to be super fussy to be good at baking. I just like to put the baking powder in first to make sure it gets thoroughly mixed in. And then I'm gonna add, get this guy out of here, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, unbleached. Do not buy the bleach stuff, that's just gross. You want bleach on your flour, just think about that. I mean, it's just whitened flour and they put it through a chemical process. Anyway, I don't want to eat that, so I don't know about you guys. Unbleached all-purpose is my preference. Then, of course, it's gonna go all over the place. That's the one thing about this particular mixer that I don't love is it does not have a shield. So, and the lowest setting is not super duper low. So where the flour doesn't fly out of the machine, but I think we've got it under control now. It's good you can see like the real life, you know, things that happen to me and probably everybody else. All right, perfect. I'm just gonna give this a scrape and mix it one more time, and then I'll show you the dough because then it's just gonna get popped into the refrigerator. All right, here is our beautiful dough. You can see if I pick it up, it doesn't really stick to my hands too much, but we are gonna refrigerate this for at least 2 hours because it is gonna accomplish a couple things. But the most important thing that it's gonna accomplish is that your cookies aren't gonna spread too much. Without exception, I refrigerate 99% of the cookie doughs that I make because I just feel like you got more control over the shape of your cookies. It's also gonna give the spices and everything kind of a chance to mellow together. But most importantly, if you don't wanna totally spread out cookie, then this is the way to go. So I'll see you back in a little bit. I'm gonna clean up all the flour that sprayed all over my counter and my tripod. And I will see you back when it is time to roll these cookies in some special sugar and bake them. Okay, the dough has been chilling. I actually let it chill overnight because I had a couple things I had to do yesterday and I lost track of time. So there we are. But I'm scooping some of the dough with a spoon and you can see that it's firmed up quite a bit. How much you scoop up depends on how big you want your cookies, of course. So if you want smaller cookies, do less. If you want bigger cookies, do more. This is about the size I like, which is kind of like a walnut size, I guess. And then this is the really special part of the cookie. And this is called turbinado sugar. And it is a very beautiful sugar with kind of a bigger granule than regular sugar, as you can see. And we are going to take our ball here and we are just going to roll it in the sugar. I normally, obviously, you would not have your bowl on the baking tray, but I'm trying to film everything. So once you do that, you put your ball on the baking sheet. I like to give them a little bit of a press and you continue. I wouldn't stack 3 of these, by the way. I would go 2, 2, 2. Give them a chance to spread out if they need to. If you're doing smaller ones, you maybe could go 3, 3, 3, 3 on your baking sheet. This is just a regular size baking sheet. So I'm gonna go 2, 2, 2. Maybe I can squeeze 8 on here. We will see, and I will show you these right before they go in the oven. All right, I decided to go 2, 2, 2. And one of the things I do sometimes if I want a little bit of a more perfect top, because you press them down and that presses some of the sugar in, I'm just sprinkling a teeny tiny bit of that sugar right on top of the cookie. I don't press them down a lot, but I just like to ensure that they're going to melt down and bake evenly. So these are going to go in a 350-degree oven. And how long they bake is going to depend on how cold your batter is and also how hot your oven is. Believe it or not, every oven is different. I am gonna start with 15 minutes because this dough is cold, and then I will check them and then see if they need to go in even longer. And you're looking for them to spread out and then crack a little bit on the top. So I will show you them when they get out of the oven. I can't wait. I just wanted to show you that while the other batch is in the oven, I prepared my second batch to go in. So if you have more than one baking tray, you can swap one out while your other one is in the oven for kind of more of an efficient process. I made these ones slightly bigger, so I'll let you know the time difference as far as how long they're in the oven, and I will see you in just a minute. All right, these beautiful cookies just came out of the oven. You can see they spread a fair amount. Again, that depends on how cold your dough is, how big your cookies are, etc. I'm gonna let these cool off for 2 minutes on the baking sheet, and then I'm gonna remove them to a wire rack to finish cooling completely, and then we are gonna taste. All right, it is time to taste. I let the cookies cool off for probably about 25 minutes or so. Just, you know, they're a little soft when they get out of the oven, but then they firm up. But this is like the world's most beautiful, chewy cookie. You can see like the inside is gorgeous. I'm gonna take a little piece. They're so flavorful, and because you have that beautiful sugar on the outside, they have this incredible crunch, and they're so flavorful from all the spices. They're just amazing. You will not be sorry. These will become your favorite cookies too, I have a feeling. Just to let you know, the smaller cookies, about this size, took me 17 minutes in the oven, and these bigger ones I did in my second batch took about 20 minutes, just so you know. But again, that's my oven. You definitely should do a test cookie, see where you're at. And thank you so much for watching. I would love for you to visit my website so you can see all my recipes, and be sure to subscribe and sign up for notifications on YouTube so you can find out when I release videos and go live. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll see you next time.